8 o'clock. We'll call our meeting to order. First order of business is the adoption of the revised agenda. We're starting our meeting at 8 o'clock versus 8:30 a.m.
I'll make a motion to approve the adopted agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the amended agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is the minutes from the August 15th meeting. Everyone had a chance to review those.
I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the August 15th meeting as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No visitors. And then there's one other thing I'd like to mention, is their incident report. There's no incidents reported during this period. Glad to see that. So with that, we'll move into reports. First up is Tony. Good morning, Tony.
Morning.
Thank you. You guys will see that I have given you guys an updated version of the budget. The only changes since we've last met is Jeff's GM letters in there, and we did make a change to page 27. If you guys want to look there, that's the change. We had the water distribution master plan update in there, and talking with Grant, he reached out and got some budget numbers on having them evaluate and review the 12-inch transmission line. So that's going to be part of that plan, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, Grant, but they'll review it, and then they'll make any suggestions for changes, and then that will go into the OSP plan.
Yes, they'll size, make sure that the plan will be proper size and give a probable cost. It won't be fully engineered, but they'll size it and give a probable cost, and then it has to be in a master plan to be put in the OSP.
So we thought we'd start there and then move forward. So that did raise that budget number from 35,000 to 140.
So this is kind of an engineering study to do all of it? What it would take to replace the entire line?
They'll give a probable cost and a size, and it has to be in that master plan. Then it'll get put in the OSP, and DNR will review it and approve it. Once it's in the owner supervised plan, we're free to. Okay.
But we can still do sections at a time?
Right.
Okay. All right.
Other than that, there's no other changes from what we discussed at the work session. Unless you guys have any other questions, I'd make a motion or a recommendation to.
What about the economic development? Did we do anything there? Or does that even reflect in here?
No, I didn't reflect it in here, but we are gonna
Okay.
do something, yeah. My thought, Chuck, is we're gonna move, in the next month, I'm gonna transfer the 200,000 out of natural gas back into electric, and I thought maybe putting a portion of that into the economic development. And I'll bring that back to you guys when I do it.
Okay, thank you.
If there's no other discussion, I move that we approve the annual budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 for MMU as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the annual budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 for MMU as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Carries.
The next action item there is the 7.5% cost adjustment, where we've made the recommendation to, effective October 1st, to have that removed.
And I'd just like to add that when Toth did their rate study, they recommended this.
Correct.
That we increase that electric cost.
And this will take us back to 2020 rates. I'd make a motion to remove the electric cost adjustment of 7.5% effective October 1st, 2024. Second.
Have a motion and a second to remove the electric cost adjustment of minus 7.5% effective October the 1st, 2024. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
last action item there is, we'll, at the same time, in October 1st, we'll implement the optional time of use rates for all of our electrical residential customers. It will be optional.
And that time of use is available to the public to see. Is it on the website?
We haven't added it to the website yet, but we'll have it on there.
Okay.
Before October 1st.
Okay.
And there's also, I included a copy of the rate schedule in there for you guys as well.
People just call in and request that if they want it switched over.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have some questions, people calling in, and we'll do our best to look at try to give them an idea of what that would look like. Obviously, it's going to take some effort on their end to try to use more during those off-peak hours, but
Make a motion to approve the optional residential time of use electric rate effective October 1st, 2024.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the optional residential time of use electric rate effective October the 1st, 2024. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
thank you, gentlemen. I don't have anything else unless you guys have questions.
Thank you, Tony. Good morning, Grant.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I do have one action item this morning. It's the replacement of the truck 403. We did open bids on the 14th. We received 2 bids. In total transparency to the board, these did come in a little higher. So this is just a cab and chassis. My thoughts probably when we put the bid on it, it'll probably be around $5,000 over that $60,000 in the budget. But at this time, my recommendation is a motion to accept the bid from Roberts Chevrolet Buick for $52,959.24. The bed's gonna run probably around $13,000.
That installed on the bed, or we got
That's
it
installed.
installed?
What are we gonna do with the current truck?
So the current truck will be passed down to the fleet mechanic, and then we will put the fleet mechanic's current truck in Purple Wave, or see if other departments can use it.
I make a motion to accept the bid from Robert Chevrolet Buick for $52,959.24.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the bid from Roberts Chevrolet Buick for $52,959.24. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, gentlemen. The only other thing is the switchgear did show up yesterday for North Street. The electricians are on site. They plan to move the generator this week, and they're going to do as much work as possible before taking the station out of service. And then if they can't get completed by October 1, when the tower project starts, they're going to wait till it's finished. But things are moving forward there. Other than that, that's all I have unless the board has any questions.
Was that a pretty big break on Yerby Street? I know it was running off the curb at the Y.
It was pretty big.
That's what it sounds like.
It blew a hole in it, probably 8 inches long. Big enough to push your fist in.
How many breaks did we have from at the water plant coming to town?
This past weekend we had 2.
Okay. There was one out around Salt Fork, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And then the other one,
I'm thinking those 2 breaks were caused, there's no way of knowing 100%, but they took a hit at the water plant. It kind of made those pumps surge. And by the nature of the breaks, the splits, that's pretty much guaranteed a water hammer happened. It wasn't at a bell, it split the pipe, so the water was hammering in there pretty good. And I would say it was because the pumps would kick on and get it to the top of the hill, then they'd shut off and that water would head back towards the plant, and the pumps would kick back on again, and just created a massive water hammer in there.
okay. Anything for Grant? Thank you.
action item this morning to replace the auto tie baler in the recycle center. We did receive the grant from the Solid Waste District, and the next step in that process would be to obtain bids for the baler. So my recommendation would be a motion to request bids for the new auto tie baler for the recycle center.
Do we pay that up front and then get reimbursed?
Yes.
Is that how it works? Motion to request bids for new auto tie baler for the recycle center.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to request bids for a new auto tie baler for the recycle center. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. Do have a Unit 6 update call tomorrow. I'm hoping to have answers on the parts that are in Italy tomorrow. That's what they're telling us we should have. Everything else other than those blades seems to be moving forward better now. Unit 7 breaker failed to close the other day, last week one day, and we ended up sending it off. They did find some areas in it where it appeared the mouse had maybe been chewing on some parts. And then there were some other areas that were out of tolerance, so they're in the process of rebuilding that for us. We ran 10 and 11 and 8 and 9 on Monday this week. Unit 11, we did have a sink check relay that failed. Electricians came over and got that taken care of for us right away, and got that on, and then ran 10 and 11 again on Tuesday, and they all ran fine other than that. I think that's all I got, unless you got any questions.
I just, maybe you don't know the answer, Jerry, but just the soils that they did at the lot, do we have any results back from that soil testing? As far as,
So boring?
yeah, uh-huh,
No, I think those
Okay.
go directly to Missouri Electric.
okay.
They ordered that. I mean, we could ask if they can see it, and get copies, but we won't get that information unless we request.
I was just curious what they might have found.
Yeah, do know they found water 10, groundwater 10 or 12 feet down.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't think they found surveyors over there yesterday.
Okay.
Moving right along.
Anything else for Jerry? Thank you. Eric, good morning.
Morning. Do have an update. I did review the submittal from Burns McDonald on the gates and actuators. We got that submitted over to Ray Lindsay. We got those on order. Those were going to be what would hold us up from on our deadline for April. So we got through that. Other than that, we happy to answer any questions.
What is the lead time on those?
I know we're pushing right up against the window
Of April.
first, even having
Okay.
it ordered now.
Okay,
So it's pretty good lead time on it.
but you got them on order.
Yes.
Anything for Eric? Thank you, Eric. Travis, good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Travis.
You guys should have a memo, it's on the annual well treatment maintenance. It's for well number 4 pump repair. Which, that was the first one that they did pull. That was the one that they thought we had an issue with, a hole in the casing, things like that. This is just to repair the pump hole that they did take back to their shop. It had several items that had to be redone on it. Some of it was they had to manufacture new brass case rings, bowl shaft, they had to manufacture it, and then they had 5 column pipe, sections of column pipe that they had to replace also, which is quite a bit more than what we usually have to do each year. And which, unfortunately, but recommendations, motion to accept the proposal from CMB Equipment in the amount of $21,160 for the well number 4 pump repair.
one of those things that's gotta be done. It's better to find out about it now than when you got a real problem.
Exactly.
And this isn't in the budget, but we're
It's due, well, it'd be not, no.
not specific.
We do I kind of review maintenance expenses and
Yeah.
kind of guesstimate, yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept the proposal from C&B Equipment in the amount of $21,160 for well number 4 pump repair.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the proposal from C&B Equipment in the amount of $21,160 for the well number 4 pump repair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. Not much else to add other than what's in the packet. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any more for Travis? Okay, thank you. Morning, Doug.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Not much to add. The overhead underground project's going well. All the services have been moved over to the underground. Overhead's been de-energized and start wrecking that out. I think there's a couple spans of wire and one transformer to wreck out, and then some yard work to finish that up. A-sub reclosure replacement. Reclosures were supposed to be sent a few weeks ago, and they pushed that back till next week, so hopefully we'll be starting on that project soon. That's all I got. If you have any questions?
Anything for Doug? Thank you, Doug. Morning, Jim.
Morning.
Jim, you have a progress map in there for you. Mostly working up north and just about finished up there and head out east shortly after that. Our little plow is at the shop in Moberly. Haven't heard anything negative, so assuming that should be back here shortly. We have been able to borrow Doug's several times this week to get some installs buried. We did send a letter to the guy in Warsaw to give him a deadline. We sent it certified, and they tried once to deliver it and said there's nowhere to deliver it, and so it hasn't been delivered yet. So we'll probably be proceeding shortly with moving on to the second bidder on that. Other than that, I'll answer any questions if you got them.
Have you talked to any of those other bidders
Not
to
yet.
see if their quotes are still good?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. Anything for Jim? Thank you, Jim. Megan, good morning.
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 I'm not gonna add anything to what's in your packet, but just mention that we have a draft of the succession planning policy in there. If we've got any questions or input about that, I would certainly welcome that. And we also included, so you could see the tools that have been drafted, that we would utilize to implement that policy. I suspect we'll probably bring the policy back to the board for formal approval in the near future. The tools, probably once we implement those, we'll find additional things that need to be tweaked to make it work a little bit better for us, so, that'll kind of be a growth in progress sort of thing with that. And we've kind of talked about this in the past, but it's been a minute. This would not be, the policy and process would not be pre-selection of candidates or replacement policy. It would be a formal process to identify critical high-risk positions, figure out a way to retain institutional knowledge. If the folks in those positions are lost to attrition or retirement or what have you, and identify the skills that would be most important to develop potential candidates for succession, so we can kind of focus on workforce development and training and make sure we're targeting that in the areas that we need to cover the critical positions. So, other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just reading through this, it was very familiar. This was a policy that a company I used to work for had very similar policy, so, yeah, it's, I just thought maybe I'd gone back to work. A lot of it became, yeah, IDP, very familiar.
How did it work, Chuck?
You're gonna have to ask HR, because I don't know. I don't know, yeah. I filled it out, I know that.
I would think it'd definitely have to help. You say,
That is certainly the hope.
Yeah, if you look at the demographics that, the graph that, or pie chart that Megan put together, are, 10 years from now, we're gonna have a pretty big, group of people ready to retire, or capable of retiring, whether they do or not. So, we're looking at a lot of knowledge leaving, down the road, and just wanna figure out a way to keep as much of it as we can.
It's pretty complete, that's for sure, yep. Anything for Megan? Thanks for, yeah, I know a lot of work went into that. And was that part of our review recommendation from the review?
Yes,
Peer review.
Yeah.
The MPUA peer review,
Yeah.
there was a recommendation in that, yes.
Okay. All right. I think what next is Jeff? Morning, Jeff.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I don't have a whole lot. Been working with staff on the budget, a couple projects, getting those going. We've got, hopefully a potential developer coming in today that we'll discuss. That's kind of being worked on through MSDC, but, hope to have that later today. Jim's working on some maps with Hometown Grid. We're kind of working towards maybe getting that where we can try it, before November. But I think we've had, staff's been messing around with it, and I think everybody's pretty happy so far, so. The generation project, still a lot of back and forth there. I know they're wanting the fuel samples. They sent our diesel fuel off to be sampled, and it has to be analyzed so the Solar can give some guaranteed emissions on the turbine. I know they're waiting on that. Surveyors were here yesterday. They surveyed 10 and 11, Miami sub, and then the pipe yard. One thing we discovered, I may have mentioned it to you before, is a couple of those lots are, the east half of Miami sub is, on the deed, is not listed correctly. So, and I noticed that when we were looking at the properties on, for the pipe yard. So there's 3 properties that I know the city attorneys are working on cleaning up. It's got Marshall Housing Authority, City of Marshall, and it shouldn't read that way. So I sent some stuff to them yesterday, but, yeah, that's moving forward. I really haven't heard a lot. As far as phone calls, we haven't touched base or anything. We're just sending them information, and they're moving forward, so. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I might mention I did take a trip to Alma last week to look at a potential meat processing plant they're looking to relocate. So I'm working with MSDC there as well to try to find a building and some other resources for them. But it was a good trip. It was pretty neat deal.
He reached out to you the other day.
He hasn't yet. I need to get back with him once I get a little more information.
He's gonna reach out to you.
Okay.
He called me yesterday and asked me to email about properties. I just sent them to you.
Okay.
Or you could send them to that guy.
Yeah, no, Monday morning, Connor, I called Connor, he came in the office and I provided him the information, and he's, moving forward, so.
Good, I hope that works out for us.
Yeah, that'd be a good, business to have here, for sure.
Anything for Jeff? Next is cash disbursements. motion and a second to approve cash disbursements as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any other business? Not, our next board meeting is Thursday, September the 12th. That's good. Good for everyone.
Budget will go to council Tuesday night, and take have
Two readings.
So I just want to let you guys know,
Okay.
we'll have some items on the council agenda, if you guys want to attend.
Same with rates and.
Rates, rates and cost.
Does that all go to them today for, when you start looking at it?
Yeah, I gotta clean up one of the ordinances, Josh emailed me back, but yeah, it'll all go there today. Jennifer, I think, sent them a bunch of stuff the other day, and pending board approval, we may have this at your meeting, so the other.
And they can, they'll have two council meetings to do first reading and
Yeah.
next second
We
reading.
kind of timed it where that, we
Yeah.
allowed them their
Yeah.
2 readings, and we still would meet our schedule.
That's always the best policy.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.